Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining another Rider Pilates session. We're going to be focusing on hip control today, which is a really key area for your seat and also for having effective leg aids. So let's get going. I'd like you to just check your posture before you start so that you've got equal weight, you know where that equal weight position through your feet is, that your knees are soft and your spine has got that nice elastic feeling. Make sure your shoulders are relaxed, and then we're going into some walking. So opposite arms and legs. Thinking as you do this that you maintain your breathing, that your ribs are sinking down towards your pelvis, and your pelvic floor, if at all possible, is staying onto floor 3. Then we're going to turn this into marching. So same pattern, opposite arms and legs, but just trying to get those knees right up so you start to loosen off through your hips. It's also a good balance exercise. It's a good coordination exercise. Excuse the noise of my feet on the mat when it's warm. It's got that lovely sticky feet on the mat noise. Delightful. Okie doke. Let's now go to the end of your mat. I'd like you to stand with your feet together and your knees soft. Hands on the front of your thighs, tuck your chin into your chest, and then slide your hands down, curling up as tight as you can through your spine all the way down. Pause at the bottom for a breath in. Breathe out, slide your hands up, tuck down with your pelvis, and then you're uncurling back right up through so your chin comes up last. And again, chin into your chest. This time try to move every single vertebra in turn, so neck, then between your shoulder blades, middle of your back, low back, and then your pelvis. Pause the bottom for a breath in. As you breathe out this time, bend your knees down onto your mat. We're going onto your side. Now, if at all possible, I would like you to be propped up onto your forearm. You want to have your legs into the capital L position. If you can't do this propped up because of any shoulder problems, you can do this exercise flat. It's absolutely fine. We're going to do your side kick. So, top hand onto your top headlight. That's your feedback to make sure you're not wobbling around all over the place. Float your top leg, and then you're imagining that you are polishing a coffee table with the underside of this leg. Really make sure that your hip, knee and foot stay level and you move from the hip. This session is about hip control. It's about being precise as to which bit of your body is moving and which bits aren't. Remember to breathe and keep your pelvic floor onto floor 3 as well. If you want to make it a little bit harder, lift your pelvis off the floor and you can carry on doing that same movement. We've just made it harder because you're less stable. But still watch that you don't start to move through here, particularly if you start to get a little bit tired. Remember, if you do get tired, just have a breather. You don't need to keep up with me the whole way through. You are allowed to have a bit of a breather, it's fine. Not a sign of failure. It'd be more worrying if I kept needing breathers, that'd be fine. But not be so good. Okie doke. Let's bring that leg down. We're going to turn onto your back. And we're going to start off with your scissors exercise. So if you can have your feet far enough away from your body that you're going to be able to move from your hips and keep your knees at 90 degrees. If your feet are too close, it's impossible. Find where your kind of neutral tummy position is, whatever feels natural for you. If you want to have your hands onto your headlights, you've got a bit of extra feedback, absolutely fine. Pelvic floor onto floor 3. And you're alternating left and right legs coming up into your tabletop position. Or you're starting in tabletop and alternating as you take each leg down in turn. But it's all from the hips. Knees stay at 90 degrees. Ribs stay to pelvis, so as the leg goes away, you don't find yourself creeping upwards. Okay, bring your feet down because we're now going to switch over to your hip twist exercise. So starting from the floor, you're taking each knee out to the side and turn again. Headlights are staying still, ribs are sinking to your pelvis. If you're going from the tabletop version, it's the whole leg on the go. I forgot to say this with the scissors. This exercise and the scissors exercise are both wine glass exercises. That is to say, if you are not familiar with that term, that when one leg is on the move, the other leg wants to stay still enough, you can keep a wine glass balanced and full on the other knee. Okay, Bring the feet back down again, because we are now going to combine those two. We'll start off going from the floor. Keep your hands here, give you that feedback, ribs to pelvis, so you're stable through this part. One leg up to the tabletop, one leg out, back in, and the same the other way. So this bit of you isn't moving, all that work is coming around your hips. That doesn't mean to say you aren't using other parts of your body, in fact you're using your tummy muscles really hard with this too. If you want to go from the tabletop version, one foot down for your scissors, one leg out for your hip twist and up, and the same the other way. And when you're going from tabletop, this rib positioning becomes even more important, because if you're starting to move through here, you've taken the workload away from your hips and you're using your back an awful lot more, and this is all about hip control. And as I said a couple of minutes ago, it's not hips in isolation. We have to use our tummy muscles, we have to use all sorts of bits of our body to be stable enough to then move from our hips, but we want to be precise, we want to be specific. One more each way. Super job. Bring your feet back down, and we're going to move on to an exercise I find quite hard, the one leg circle. So you can do this from the floor, straightening one leg, 5 circles one way, 5 circles round the other way. Bring that foot down, or you can go from tabletop, and it's the same thing again, just from here. So you're swapping between left and right, whichever version you are doing. Again, use your hands on your headlights, because that is going to give you that positional awareness around your hips, around your pelvis, to make sure that you're stable through there. Make sure that you're not doing this. Try to make sure you're moving through your hip, not your knee. Lost that one completely. So we're not having knee bending, we're not having foot flopping, you're moving through your hip. And we'll do one more. Okay, feet down one at a time if they were up. We're going to turn onto the side you haven't already been on. And the same thing applies. If you find that you're not comfortable propped up on your forearm, absolutely fine to do this flat. Top hand onto your top headlight, legs capital L, pelvic floor onto floor 3, float your top leg. And once again, we are polishing that imaginary coffee table, keeping hip, knee and foot level, so we haven't got the foot up or the knee up, whatever fault it might be. And this bit staying really still. If you're finding that easy, lift your pelvis and off you go again. Remember to breathe, whichever version you're doing, always important. Keep the pelvic floor onto floor 3. Keep that hip, knee and foot level all the way. Okay, bring that leg down, and we're going to come up into kneeling, and we're going to go straight back in to the side kick. I suggest though that you do the leg you didn't just do, to give yourself a little bit of a breather. So we'll start off just by doing 2 or 3 down and ups, just to get the brain in gear. So go slightly to one end of your mat, so you want to be going onto the leg you just used, and you're going to go down and up. As you go down, try to make sure that leg is parallel to the ground, horizontal-ish with your body. Then you're going to see if you can stay there and move that leg forwards and backwards. So now you're polishing, I don't know, this a low kitchen table, if you need an analogy to help you. The leg stays straight through the knee this time, but you are moving through that hip, just like you did with the other exercise. Keep this bit of you still. Okay, come up. Let's shift down to the other end of your mat. And again, we'll practice just a couple of down and ups first of all. So down and up, making sure as you go down, you can get that leg horizontal, parallel to the floor. Then you're going to stay in position. And again, you're looking to do that polishing movement, moving from your hip, pelvis staying still so you're not moving like this. Keeping the knees straight. I think sometimes pointing your toes can be helpful. That just increases the tone down your leg. It helps you to have that feeling of straightness through the leg. rather than if your toe's floppy, it makes the leg more floppy and you're more likely to bend through the leg. Okay, come up, and then we're going to go onto your hands and knees, and we're going to start off doing some foot arcs. This is quite a nice easy exercise. I hope my right leg doesn't disappear from your screen as I do it. You're straightening one leg behind you. It'll be easier for you if you're doing this on a carpet or a smooth floor. Draw a little arc out to the side, behind you and back in, and then straighten the other leg out to the side, behind and back in. The purpose of this is to help you focus by doing this steadily on where your hip movement stops and your pelvis movement begins. So if I go out, my hip movement stops there, any more movement is coming by me bending through my pelvis and my body. So you want to really focus your attention. When does the hip stop? That's where you stop the movement. Don't try and push on into moving through your pelvis or moving with your pelvis, really. Your pelvis itself can't move inside itself, but it can move as a block. We'll do one more each way, and anyone that's been following me for a long time will know I am really hot on body awareness. The more you know what your body is doing, the better your chance of controlling it and getting the results that you want. Okay, we're going to go back to the one leg circle. So straightening leg out behind you this time, and again we're doing 5 circles one way and 5 circles round the other way. Bring that leg underneath, straighten the other leg, and the same thing, 5 circles one way, 5 circles round the other way. If, like me, you find this exercise difficult on one side, I find it really hard with my left leg, don't worry. I think this version of it is the hardest of all in some ways, although physically perhaps not so hard because you're on all fours, you're not worrying about balance and so on, but it's really hard because you can't see your leg. You are totally reliant on feeling what is going on, and for me that's been quite revelatory. It probably sounds a bit obvious to everybody else, but by doing it in this position I have really had to focus my brain on what my left leg is doing, and it's a really good thing to be doing, really making my brain aware of what my left leg is doing even though I can't see it. Make this one you're on your last one. Bring that leg back underneath. Okay, come up. So you're kneeling back up onto your knees, and we're going to go into the kneeling roll up. I suggest that you have your hands as if you're holding your reins, but relax through your shoulders as you go down and up. As you're doing this, imagine you're doing rising trot, and keep your shoulders over your headlights. You don't want to be tipping forwards. Remember, when you are in the saddle, if your weight starts to tip forwards, then you're tipping your horse onto its forehand. So practice out of the saddle. Can you do a nice controlled rising trot, keeping your shoulders over your pelvis and your hands soft so you're not balancing on the horse's mouth? All that control is coming really from your hips and obviously the knees as well in this version, but we haven't got a real horse to do this on. Lovely. Okay, then without using hands, up into standing, and we're going to go into your clam. So I'd like you to stand on one leg with your foot tucked into your knee. Relax your upper body. Again, have hands onto your headlights because it gives you that nice positional feedback. And we'll do some of those nice turnouts. Remember, when you are upright and you haven't got gravity affecting your legs, really work on getting that knee out as far as you can to take those muscles into their shortened position. They don't get to work there very often, and it's good to have that variety. If you want to make it harder, you can add in your extensions and you can play around. You can do the full movement, or you can stay there and just do the extensions. Work on holding your hips in 2 completely different positions, keeping this one stable in this rotated position whilst you do the knee part. Okay, let's bring that leg down and we'll go on to the other one. So get your balance before you start. Relax your shoulders, fall over, and then into those turns. Again, really working. Make the most of the range of hip movement that you've got, getting that turn out. And once again, if you want to add in the extensions, you can play around with how you do them, provided that whatever you're doing, headlights pelvis stays to the front and you are working through your hips to achieve it. Get a bit creative, mix it up, a bit more interesting. Lovely job. Okay, feet down, little walk, make sure you're loose through your upper body, then feet out wide, and we're going to go over onto one side, bend that knee. If you feel a stretch down this thigh, great. If you don't, just drop your shoulder gently down towards the foot, and then come up, and the same again, so into that stretch. Just bring that shoulder down if you need to, and up, and we'll do one more. And then we're going to go to the other side, so over. If you feel the stretch, lovely. If you don't, gently bring that shoulder down, and up, and down, shoulder if you need to. One last one. And up. Bring your feet back underneath you. Make sure you've got equal weight through your feet. Knees are soft. Shoulders are relaxed, arms are relaxed. Just feel that you're growing that extra inch. And we are finishing there, so great job for doing all of those. Thank you for joining me. I hope you found those useful. Remember, if you find that one side is harder than the other, don't panic, just keep working at it. The more you work at improving that symmetry, the better your symmetry will be in the saddle. Thank you so much for joining me. If you haven't already subscribed, please do. It's always wonderful when the numbers go up. Thank you very much, and I'll see you very soon.